Hi everyone, and welcome to a special class with Michael Bernard Beckwith on the Mindvalley Academy.
It is my joy to be with you.
Michael, I'm so excited to bring you on because what you teach is so relevant to our community, and it's something that's so important in terms of what we as Mindvalley want to get out to the world. So allow me to read what we're going to be talking about today. I don't know how you found this class, but if you're here, you're in for something really mind-blowing, because Michael's wisdom and the way he teaches causes just wisdom to surge within you. You're going to learn how to fine-tune your soul's compass and catch the highest vision of what your life can be. I'm going to read you some of the things we'll be covering here. You're going to learn how to connect with the universe to find your true self and gain clarity on your life's grand vision. It's about how to create a remarkable life with meaning, a life truly worth living, a life of peace, harmony, joy, creativity, but most of all, a life that is aligned with the reason your soul came to this planet in the first place. And when you live a life like that, it's as if the universe has your back, and it's as if magic is unfolding every single day. It's a life not of struggle, but of discovery, of joy, of so much wonderfulness happening on a day-to-day basis. Would that be true, Michael?
Absolutely. And you know what? On a deep level, they've tuned in to this particular station at this particular time because they want this. It's not accidental.
Yes.
It's on purpose.
That has happened to me many times. I'd find the right teacher, I'd be on the right masterclass at the right moment. Now, here's why this knowledge is so important for our time right now. We live in a world where goal setting is basically broken. And the reason is this: we set goals not based on what is our soul's true desire. If I had learned to listen to my soul and be aligned with my soul, I would have been where I am faster and earlier in my life. And that would have saved me so much pain and misery. And for many of us, it's like that. We didn't set goals, or even today as you're writing down goals, you're trying to come up with your goals based on what you're seeing in the world. But the thing is, what you see is limited by your own awareness. But what if you could tune in? All great masters tune in, and they don't set goals based on their intention. They set goals based on inspiration. And that is what I learned from you, Michael. We can only visualize and set goals from what we already know, and what we already know is limited by ego, mind, society, environment, religion, and the Western world's definition of success. We know less than 1% of what is real and true to our soul, our purpose, and how the universe wants to manifest through us. As a result, despite having what they wanted, so many people still feel lost, are stuck, and unhappy, and sense something is missing. And maybe you've sensed this too. And this is where this man comes in. So Michael, get ready to blush for a moment because I'm going to read them your bio. He's an award-winning author and internationally renowned spiritual teacher of meditation, life visioning, which is his process that we teach on the Mindvalley Academy, and affirmative prayer. He was featured in the hit film The Secret, which became the biggest selling DVD in history. He's a frequent guest on Larry King Live, on CNN, The Oprah Winfrey Show, appeared on Dr. Oz. He's the founder and spiritual director of the Agape International Spiritual Center in California. And man, if you live in LA and you've been to Agape, you know how amazing the Agape Spiritual Center is, and this man founded it. He is famous for going higher and beyond generic personal growth topics like visualization, goal setting, beliefs, etc. What you're going to learn here is next level stuff. It is the stuff that some of the highest performing people in the world use to craft and create their lives by not setting conventional goals, but by truly tapping in. So here's what you're going to learn in the class. You're going to go through an awakening in this class itself. You're going to learn about 8 different structures in your life and how you can make these 8 structures fully thrive. Then we're going to close with a beautiful meditative prayer that only a man like Michael Beckwith can deliver. So stay tuned. Have your PDF workbook ready, because you're going to be taking down some incredible notes, and I know you're going to love this. Now, before we begin, Michael, I want to give people a preface of what to expect. So I'm going to read out, just really rapidly, some incredible stories of what has happened when people applied life visioning. James Redfield, who wrote that remarkable best-selling book, The Celestine Prophecy, said, Life Visioning, which is Michael's program at Mindvalley, provides a practical step-by-step system that can help you enter what I have called the miracle universe, to get in alignment with the true spiritual design of the universe. Barbara Marx Hubbard said, "This is a master work from a master teacher." And Barbara Marx Hubbard is one of the foremost leaders in conscious spirituality today. She has lectured at the United Nations. She was the 1984 VP nominee for the Democratic Party of the United States. And she said, through his teachings, we're able to release our illusions of separation and fear. Scott Bakula, remember Quantum Leap, that incredible 80s, 90s television show? Scott Bakula, the actor, said, "It defies any boundaries that exist on this planet because it has nothing to do with where you were raised, what color you are, your religious background, or any biases you have." And this is something I really agree with. I was so excited to work with Michael Bernard Beckwith because he truly is leading us into a more unified, world-centric view of humanity. The Deepak Chopra said, "Beckwith eloquently unfolds the secrets of deep inquiry for spiritual development." And finally, Lawrence Carter, author of Ethical Global Options, said, "He takes us on a level of insight of spiritual development seldom achieved. He sets down the stages and steps in spiritual awareness and growth with exceptional clarity and poetic power." Now, one of the things, Michael, that I love most about you is your remarkable story. I'd love for you to start by telling us your story.
I'll be glad to. First of all, thank you for having me here. Thank you for the great work you're doing. And I feel privileged and honored to be the founder of Agape International, going into our 30th year now. How I got started, a number of years ago, I was actually sitting in a room with a group of people, and we were wanting to change the world. I was a part of an organization that wanted to change the world by any means necessary. And I heard a voice that said, "If you were to take over the world tomorrow, would the world be any different?" And I looked around the room and I realized that there was a lot of territorialism, a lot of ego problems, a lot of issues in this room, that the world would be exactly the same. And so I left that particular organization, but I had nothing to replace it with. So I went back to school. I was attending USC. I was a psychobiology major. And I began to have a series of inner experiences. Now keep in mind, during this time, one of the things I was doing to help fund my way through USC is I had a little cottage industry of selling cannabis sativas, marijuana, which is now legal, but at the time it wasn't. And these experiences kept intensifying. I stopped smoking because I thought maybe it attributed to the experience, but the experiences amplified. And there was a moment in which, for a long period of time, I had this lucid dream, and in this dream, these three men were chasing me. I would wake up every night before they would get to me. Then one night, I didn't. I was awake in the dream, and I said, "I don't need to run. This is a dream." There was a tent with a long line of people going into this tent, and I knew everyone in this tent going into this tent. And I said, "My friends will help me." I stopped, and one by one, everyone turned their back on me. Two men pinned me down, and one plunged a knife into my heart. The pain was excruciating. I screamed, and I died. And when I woke up, I could see beauty everywhere, and I felt a penetrating love, penetrating every cell of my being, every atom full of this love, this totally agendaless, unconditional, powerful love. And the beauty, everything was shining. And my life changed. I knew I had to discover what had happened to me. Now, back up just a moment. I got arrested on my very last deal of selling weed. Hundreds of pounds of marijuana, a lot of money, a lot of paraphernalia. And I was going to court. And the inner voice said I was going to walk away from this experience, totally and completely exonerated. I'm sitting in the courtroom reading meditation books. I'm unconcerned about the outcome because the inner voice had already said nothing was going to happen to me. So one day, sitting in court, my attorney was interviewing a police officer that wasn't even there when I was arrested. And he was explaining how an informant had told them a big drug deal was going down, and they staked out my house. And my attorney jumped up and said, "That's hearsay evidence. We demand that the informant come to court, or we invite the judge to throw the case out of court." It took a 3-day recess. We came back. The prosecutor said the informant was afraid for his life, was not going to show up. The judge said, "I have no other recourse, Mr. Beckwith, but to set you free. I hope I never see you in my courtroom again." I said, "Judge, you never will." I walked out, and I went home, and the wind was blowing, and there was a weather vane pointing in the direction that the wind was facing. And I said to the presence, if this means what I think it means in terms of my life, in terms of my destiny, I want that weather vane to point in my direction. And before I could get the words out of my mouth, the weather vane pointed directly at me, against the wind. And I started crying. And I surrendered my life to this presence of love and beauty and joy that was guiding my life after that particular experience. When I had that eureka moment, that satori moment, that awakening moment, it changed my life forever. And I went on a research and development project, kind of, to discover what had happened to me. And it changed everything in my life and provided the context for me to be a servant of this presence of excellence.
Wow. So your life was that close, you were that close to spending probably the next 20 or 25 years behind bars.
I was very close to not only spending years in jail, but I was also caught with a cache of weapons, and the federal government wanted me after that. So there's going to be 2 periods of time, and I had no worries and no concerns.
You were a completely different man.
Totally, completely different, and I was told, I'm walking away, and I believe.
Right.
Now the people around me...
You were told by an inner voice.
Yes, absolutely. People around me thought I was crazy. You should leave the country. Michael's freaked out, but I knew.
So you stayed in the country.
Right.
And the case was dismissed.
Thrown out.
And rightfully so, because what Michael ended up doing was touch hundreds of thousands of lives through agape. That's a beautiful story. And there was one really key thing that struck me in that story, Michael. It's that life can be so precious. A tiny little thing, a tiny little moment of awakening could make the difference between you being a world leader, speaking at the United Nations, or being a man behind bars. It was that tiny awakening. And think about this for your life. What is that awakening that will come to you? Now, Michael, one of the reasons people are here is because when we polled our list, when we polled you guys on Mindvalley Academy, you know, the number one question our audience asks us is, teach us how to live our mission and our purpose. Mission and purpose, mission and purpose. We hear that over and over and over again. And you are a man on a powerful mission. You've got an incredible purpose. But what is most special about you is that you awaken other people to this act of living their purpose. And you do it in 2 ways, which you're going to learn about today, in 2 ways which are remarkable. One is by making them see how the evolution of oneself can emerge. And when you explained that to me, it shook me up. It changed me to the core 2 years ago when we had that first interview I did with you. And Michael shifted me so much that I rewrote chapter 10 of my book to share his insights with the world and how his insights helped me. That was how much it shook me up. But it also changed the way I did business, changed the way I functioned in life. And you're about to hear that same message. Now, the second thing is the act of creating through life visioning. Not through creative visualization or looking at the goals we think we need to attain, but creating by tapping into what the universe needs us to do. Now, those 2 ingredients, folks, are what you're about to learn on this class. So, Michael, let's start with that first profound piece of wisdom, the 4 stages.
Yeah, you're speaking of the 4 stages of spiritual growth, development, and unfoldment. Those particular stages came to me in the 80s, late 80s. When an individual asked me a question in class, she said, there seems to be a contradiction in the teaching. On one hand, you say you can have it all. And then later on you say, but you have to surrender your life to excellence, to love, to God, to peace. There seems to be contradiction there. And at that moment, I remember where I was standing. I can remember the woman who asked the question. I walked up to the blackboard and I wrote down, I said, no, it's not contradictory. There are 4 stages of spiritual growth, development, and unfoldment. The first stage is the victim stage. We call that to us. Something is happening to us. People that live in the victim stage have a belief that something outside of themselves determines their destiny. God, the devil, their astrology sign, numerology, their past experiences, past relationships, past way that they have observed their experiences, their past perceptions. They live victimized by that. And they believe that they have a number of reasons why they can't succeed. Ultimately, there are excuses. But when you're in the victim stage, you actually believe that something is preventing you from being happy, and you cannot get out of that sense of victimhood. That's stage 1. And sorry to say, there are so many people in the world that are living in that stage 1. Something is happening to me. Doesn't mean that bad things aren't happening to people, but to have the identity of being a victim is different from a bad thing happening to you. And we'll get to that in a little bit. As an individual becomes sick and tired of being sick and tired, and they begin to ask a different kind of questions, they find themselves segueing into stage 2. Stage 2 is the stage of the manifester. It's by us. Stage 1, to us. Stage 2, something happens by us. Our mental power, our creative visualization, the re-engineering of our imagination, right speech, high conversation, affirmation. We begin to describe the world that we want to see, and as we begin to describe the world we want to see, it begins to manifest. We learn the art and science of manifestation. We begin to take control of our life. We begin to take responsibility for our life. This is a very powerful stage. In this stage, you have motivation. In this stage, you have visualization. In this stage, you have creative imagination. In this stage, you learn about the law. You learn about the law of mind and action, and that the universal law of mind and action matches your thoughts, which are units of mental energy. It matches your chronic thinking, matches your belief. It doesn't matter what your belief is. The law will match it. So if you believe that life is hard until you die, you experience that. If you believe in lack and limitation, you experience that, whether that belief is conscious or unconscious. That's stage 2. So in that stage, you actually learn to shift your thinking. So that instead of living in worst case scenarios, you're beginning to build best case scenarios. What's the best thing that could happen to me today? What's the most powerful thing that can emerge in my life today? Your thinking starts to change, and then your life experience starts to change.
That's beautiful. Did you guys see how you transitioned from stage 1 to stage 2? Now I'm guessing most of the people watching here today are on stage 2, because they're the type of people who have taken the initiative to actually show up here for this webinar, because they know that there is that ability within them to not be a victim of the world, but to shift the world.
Yes.
But as Michael's about to share, there are stages beyond.
Absolutely.
Please continue.
Absolutely. So as we begin to segue out of stage 1 into stage 2, and we become masters of manifestation, something else begins to occur within us. We begin to realize that there's an order in the universe that we didn't put there. It's already there. We don't have to make order. We learn that we can surrender to the order, the same way that a swimmer surrenders to the law of buoyancy, the same way that an airplane surrenders to the law of aerodynamics. We can surrender to an order, a harmony, a peace that already exists. We start to segue into stage 3. Stage 3 is as us. We become channels. Remember stage 1, to us. Stage 2, by us. Stage 3, through us. This is where you begin to live in the zone. You begin to live in that place where beyond your planning, something takes you over. And something begins to live through you and sing through you and dance through you and create through you and be through you. You're like a witness and a participant with this dynamic energy, this life force, this presence, this intelligence that's everywhere. It begins to move through you and it's unencumbered because you're no longer manipulating nor limiting it through your visualization. You're now opening yourself up to yielding, surrender, allowing. Those are feminine words. In stage 2, it's more masculine. It's by your mind. It's mental power. It's visualization. Stage 3, it's letting, allowing, yielding, surrendering. From that stage, you're a larger space, a larger place for this intelligence, this love, this beauty, this abundance, this prosperity to flow through you. And oftentimes, it shocks and surprises you because it's beyond your present paradigm. Stage 2, you can have a comfort zone. Stage 3, your good is beyond your comfort zone. It takes you beyond. You're in flow motion, the zone. And then there are moments of stage 4. Stage 4 is entitled As Us. It's a state of being. Those moments of insight, those moments of satori, those moments of aha, they're expanded for longer periods of time. And you feel connected to this flow of life. And whether it's a nanosecond, or whether it's an entire day, or whether it's intermittent throughout the course of your week or month, it changes your life forever. Your whole perception, it changes. Stage 3 and stage 4, that's where visioning is. Stage 2, that's visualization. You master stage 2 so that you can enter into stage 3.
So beautifully said. Now you mentioned the words Kensho and Satori. I realize some people may not be familiar with those ideas, but they are powerful, powerful, powerful ideas because they show you how, in almost every case, the universe is far friendlier than you think. Let's talk about that for a moment.
Absolutely. As you're participating in your own growth, development, and unfoldment, you'll have moments of satori, that moments of an insight where it suddenly takes you over dramatically. It's an aha moment. And that moment shifts your perception, expands it, so you see life from a much larger spectrum. Those moments, they come with practice. It's an insight. An insight is an event that takes place in your consciousness. And then there are other moments where it happens much slowly. You do your spiritual practice, chop wood, carry water, you practice your meditation, you practice your life visioning, you practice your spiritual technologies, and it's a slower awakening. So people have the tendency to sometimes have satori moments, and most people, it's a kensho, a moment in which it's a slow releasing of that which no longer serves. It's a cleansing of our filters. And then we look back and we see, oh, I've grown. But I don't remember where that growth took place, but I'm different now. Sometimes it's accompanied with pain. Sometimes there's a level of pain or seeming suffering that's occurring. And then you look back and you realize, oh my God, that pain was actually an opening for a tremendous expansion of my consciousness. So we have both. We have satori, aha, eureka, wow, I got it. And then we have kensho, the slow burn, the slow unfolding of our awareness. And we all have a combination of both.
So I take it that as you go from stage 2 to stage 3, which is where you want to aspire to be, and on to stage 4, the satori moments increase, but the kensho moments go down.
Well, I think that what happens is there's a combination. The satori moments increase, but there's always a continual peeling away of that which no longer serves you, because the journey is infinite.
Right.
I like to say that wherever we are, we're barely scratching the surface of our infinite capacity. Yeah.
I like that. In my book, I call that I quote you on Kensho and Satori, and I call that the beautiful destruction. The idea that sometimes you have to destroy some aspect of your life to let the next great thing enter. So for our audience, I want you to note something really profound that Michael just said. Stage 1 and 2 is where you visualize. Stage 3 and 4 is where inspiration leads to your creation.
Yes.
You are not creating what society or the media or schooling or education or your parents or your culture say you need to do. You are creating what your soul needs you to do. And so you're more likely to end up in a fulfilled career, in a fulfilling job with that person that you truly, truly, truly want to be with. Would that be correct?
Oh, absolutely. And that, as you just indicated, stage 1 and 2, you're visualizing. Stage 3, segueing into stage 4, you're visioning, and you're asking what's trying to emerge. Stage 2, motivation, and there's a lot, sometimes there's shoulds. Mm-hmm. You should be this. Your parents say you should be a doctor, you should be a teacher, you should, society says you should do this. Stage 3 is what you're meant to be. There's a should be and there's a meant to be. Should be, external authority figure. Meant to be, from within. This is where your calling is. The unfolding of your soul that activates bliss and ecstasy because you're activating your potential. And this is where many people miss the boat because they're so caught up in what society wants them to be, they miss their soul's calling. And they spend their entire life in a job that they hate when their soul is begging to be set free. So life visioning sets the soul free and allows you to live life on fire, and then people come and watch you burn.
Love that. You know, what's so beautiful about what you said is it reminds me of this article I read about the great novelist Hunter S. Thompson. You know, he wrote Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. He was the subject of like 3 movies where Johnny Depp played him. And in 1953, a friend asked Hunter for some advice on life. And Hunter wrote a really famous letter that you can search on the internet back to his friend. And one of the most important ideas in the letter, and I'm paraphrasing here, Hunter says, you know, in society, we often make ourselves conform to goals. But these goals are not us. These goals are what the media, what our culture, what our parents tell us we should be doing. Don't do that, he says. He says, instead, let the goals conform to you.
Yes.
Is that rather like visioning?
That's exactly it. Stage 2, you're goal-oriented and you have motivation. Stage 3, you're purpose-oriented and you have inspiration. Inspiration is from the mind of the infinite. Motivation is from individuals or things that are happening outside of you. Absolutely. As you begin to learn to articulate what your soul wants and allow that to emerge, goals will formulate, but they'll formulate according to a much higher vision and much higher purpose of life.
And they prevent us from waking up one day going, what the hell happened to my life? How did I get here? So,
which is the bane of the American dream.
Right.
The American dream is get your cars, get your houses, get whatever amount of zeros you need in your bank account, and you're happy. But so many people have discovered when they have achieved that dream, it was actually a nightmare. And their hearts were closed. They had poor relationships, bad health, and they didn't answer their calling of their soul.
So beautifully said. I want to share with you guys my story of how Michael's work influenced me. This happened about 2 years ago when we met for the first time and we had our first ever interview. So you see, I always thought I was living on purpose. I had my purpose, I had Mindvalley. Now, I had a purpose, that's true, but I wasn't living on purpose. That's what I began to understand. For I understood that it was much more complex than just knowing your purpose. From talking to you, I know about the 8 life structures, which we'll talk about in a moment, and how you can be on purpose or off purpose in any of these 8. And even when you know your purpose, that's different from living your purpose. So here's the shift that happened to me. 2 years ago, while I was still running Mindvalley, I forgot why I started this company. I started this company because meditation had transformed my life. I was broke and sleeping on a couch in San Francisco when I had a job dialing for dollars, selling technology to law firms, and I was depressed and not making money. And I took a meditation class, and I showed up in that class, and I was the only person there. But the class was so transformative. This was back in 2002. When I went back to my job, I just crushed it. I ended up getting promoted 3 times in 4 months, became director of sales. My career took off. And 18 months later, I realized that I wanted to do something on my own. And I remembered the fact that I was the only person in that meditation class. And I asked myself, if all this stuff about the human mind is so powerful, why was I the only one there? I want more people in these classes because our education system failed us. And so I became a meditation instructor. And for 5 years, I was teaching meditation to small groups of people in London and New York. But that is how Mindvalley emerged. But see, back then, I was actually doing it because I wanted to spread meditation. Now, 2 years ago, I forgot why I was doing it. I honestly forgot. And I was measuring the success of my company based on, okay, did we make profits this month? Was our burn rate still high? Okay, are we hitting these KPIs, these revenue targets? What are our visitors? All of that stuff. And I forgot why I'd started the thing in the first place. Now, after speaking to you, I realized that for whatever reason, I was operating more from level 2. I was setting goals. Okay, this month we hope to hit that revenue target. This month we hope to get that investor. I was comparing myself to other entrepreneurs on these bullshit metrics. I remember being at a conference with other entrepreneurs building great companies, and I would compare myself to others. I was like, oh man, he got a larger round of investment. Oh, I feel like such a failure. Oh man, his company got valued at 80 million. My company is nowhere near there. Oh God, I feel like such a failure. And then you woke me up. And you woke me up to why I was doing this in the first place. And this is why I had to dedicate a whole chapter of my book, the final chapter, to you. And that was, I was doing it to spread enlightened ideas, and I made that my focus. And over 2 years, I started changing everything in Mindvalley. I cut back and killed all my other businesses that were not focused on spreading enlightened ideas. All the businesses I'd started purely to, make a healthy ROI or make some money, I killed them so I could focus on one thing, being the man to spread enlightened ideas in the world to help humanity wake up. Then I looked at Mindvalley and we had deals with 200 authors. I canceled 90% of those deals. I looked at every author and I said, I'm only going to work with the top 15 authors out of 200. And the top 15, I based it on what were our customers saying. Who were our customers saying were truly changing their lives, you included. So I cut back everything else. And with these 15 authors, I decided to dedicate my team not on developing the best marketing in the world, which was 2 years back, but on developing the best transformations in the world. We expanded our customer support team so we could actually provide the best customer support possible, and we won an award, Best Customer Support in Asia. We hired 35 developers so we could create the best learning technology. We hired artists and designers so even our course covers could be beautiful and artistic. We transformed Mindvalley Academy, and we canceled 90% of our authors. And when I had this calling to do so, to cut 90% of my business, to shut down all other companies, I was scared. I was like, is this the right thing to do? This might absolutely kill the company. But the craziest thing happened. At that point, when I made that decision, we were burning through $100,000 a month. Honestly, it looks easy, it wasn't. We were burning through $100,000 a month. I was in a perpetual state of stress and anxiety. I was not going out, I was not meeting friends, I was just working to try to reduce this burn rate, right? I was seeing the money in our bank account go down. When we made that shift, when we made that commitment to providing the best education in the world for our customers, and I forgot about the burn rate, I forgot about the money. I said, the money, screw that. I'm not even going to worry about that. I'm going to live on what I believe the universe has me to do. Everything shifted. In 3 short months, it was like a tidal wave of good fortune hit me. The burn rate disappeared. It went from 100K to minus 100K to minus 50K to me having my most profitable month last month. And it was the culmination of 2 years of training myself to deconstruct all of the crap I'd learned from traditional business and society on what it meant to be an entrepreneur and to truly live on purpose. And I share that story for 2 reasons. Number one, to understand how powerful Michael is, because some of you might be thinking, oh, purpose, I got that. I'm done. I got that. No. When you live on purpose, it's a wholly different experience. So I wanted to publicly acknowledge you and thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you for leaping. Thank you for that course correction that got you back into your calling and not just a career.
Now, it's very important the other thing I started doing is life visioning.
Yes.
I ripped up my goal sheet. I don't have a goal sheet right now. I get inspiration that flows to me, and that inspiration has been guiding me, and it's been so powerful. So this is the difference between creative visualization and life visioning. And I'm saying this with some humility because I published a course on creative visualization with actually saying life visioning is the next level. Creative visualization has purpose if you're at level 2, but if you're at level 3 and 4, or you want to get there, life visioning. So with life visioning, in the last 1 year, I've 2 new business ideas emerged in terms of transforming lives. And one got $1 million worth of funding and is now successfully being launched in Silicon Valley. And the other is about to launch next month, and I'm so excited about it. It's called the Quest app. And a lot of it came from life visioning. So you'll hear about life visioning in a moment. But now, Michael, let's go deeper. One of the things you said, Michael, is that when you can see the 4 stages, you can ascend the stages because you have a roadmap.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes. Most people don't know where they are. They're just nilly-willy living life. But once you understand these structures as we've just laid them out to you, you know where you are and you know what you need to learn within those structures to set yourself free. If you're in structure number 1, if you feel victimized by life, you have to enter into forgiveness and let go of the blame game. It's a strong practice, but it's necessary. If you're in stage 2, you're going to have to let go of control. That happens incrementally. Little by little by little, you take responsibility, but you let go of control and you start to yield to a higher power, or whatever name you want to call it. Just call it life for right now. Stage 3, you're letting go of a personal sense of a life separate from the great life, whatever name you want to call that life. We have a tendency to think that we're separate from life, that we're individuals without the awareness that individual means undivided from the whole. So little by little by little, that sense of separation dissolves and we start to have moments of in the wonderful state of being. So when you know what stage you are, you know what you need to do. Stage 1, forgiveness, let go of blame. Stage 2, you're letting go of control. Stage 3 into stage 4, the sense of separation is dissolving with every meditation, with every life visioning moment that you practice, until there's an ever-increasing awareness of your oneness with life. Life is not a foreign invader. You are an emanation of life. You are an emanation of love and intelligence and beauty. That's your essence. You start to surrender to it, it takes over.
And that's what's so beautiful about what you've been sharing. Just by listening to this and understanding the 4 stages, you accelerate your evolution up these stages.
Absolutely. There was some research that showed that if a person is taking, for instance, vitamins, that the vitamins work. But if they actually read what the vitamins do for their body, the efficacy is magnified. It becomes increased if you know that what you're taking is actually doing what it says it's supposed to do, it does it better. So if you know the 4 stages and you kind of have a map as to where you are and you begin doing that kind of work, just knowing that increases your ability to magnify the excellence in your life.
Wow, amazingly said. Now, there's a second dimension to it, and this is called the 8 structures. And it's profound stuff. I'd love for you to tell us the 8 structures. Basically, what Michael is going to talk about is how, even in these 4 stages are, you could be at different stages in 8 different structures in your life. You could be at stage 3 in your relationships, but stage 1 in your financial affairs. And there are 8 structures in where this applies. Michael?
Absolutely. Let me just say that when we look at the structures, they're either a liability or they're an asset. And we learn how to stabilize the structure so that they become assets to us. Everybody's structures is not going to look the same. And as he just mentioned, you might be in stage 3 at one area of your life, and you might feel victimized at another area of your life. And so it's a constant movement, constant unfolding, constant evolution. So there's one structure that's called your spiritual life. And this is where you do intense work, real work, to discover that you are a spiritual being. You are a spiritual being having a human incarnation. And being a spiritual being, through meditation, through affirmative prayer, through life envisioning, you begin to set free your gifts, talents, and capacities. You begin to know, not just believe, but you begin to know that you are an eternal being on a quest of unfoldment, of constantly activating your potential. Many people feel that they're cut adrift from life, but as you begin to embark upon an apprenticeship in that particular structure, spirituality, not religious, not religiosity, but spirituality, you come into an awareness, you have aha moments. Oh my God, I've always existed. I'm going to continue to exist. I've always been alive. I'm going to continue to be alive. That becomes real. That becomes real to you. And then there's the structure called ego. And as we work on this structure, you begin to discover, you stop playing the game of one-upsmanship, superiority, inferiority, or equality. You come into an awareness of your uniqueness. Everyone is unique. This grand presence doesn't do do-overs, doesn't make mistakes, and doesn't repeat itself. So everyone on the planet is a unique expression of this infinite, divine, loving intelligence. And when you have a healthy ego, it means that you feel a level of spiritual esteem, self-worth, self-love, self-appreciation, but you also have an open heart that you give permission for everyone to feel that deep sense of nobility as well. You're not playing comparison. You're not playing one-upsmanship anymore. You're not playing immature competition. You want everyone to succeed because everyone is a unique expression of the infinite presence.
And this is one of the things that happened to me when I started living on purpose, when I ended up moving from level 2 to level 3. I stopped comparing myself to others. That ego thing completely shifted. Now, by the way, this is a good time to refer to your workbook. You'll see in your workbook we've listed the 8 structures, and we ask you to do a simple exercise. Write a number from 0 to 10 on how you'd rate yourself in these structures. 10 being phenomenal. You are certainly at level 4, and everything, it could not be better. 0 meaning really broken. Where would you rate? For example, I would put myself at maybe 7 in spirituality, because I know there's still so much more I can learn. So rate yourself for spirituality and ego. And the first number that comes to mind is usually the correct one, so don't think too much about it, okay? Let's move on to number 3.
After ego, we talk about relationships. And this particular subject, everyone's really interested in it because everyone's looking for their soulmate, they're looking for someone to be with. But your first relationship is with yourself. You have to come into an awareness that you are relating to your higher self. That is the ahistorical self, the self that has no history. You begin to have a relationship with that, which extends itself from the healthy ego of self-love and appreciation. And then you begin to discover that everything you can want in life, it's already within you. And instead of looking for a relationship to complete you, your relationships are places in which you play at expressing love and compassion and kindness and generosity. In other words, instead of trying to get something from a relationship, you become healthy enough to bring something to your relationships. So instead of being a stalker or needy, you become an individual that is so full of life that your friendships, your acquaintanceships, your love relationships are a place where you express and give. And it's a continual growth in that particular area.
So do go ahead and give yourself a rating for the structure of love relationships. Okay, now let's go on.
Yeah. So just a little bit more on relationships. Relationship is a joint participation in the good of life. So it's not people trying to get something from each other. They are jointly participating in something bigger, like fish swimming in the ocean. They're not giving each other water. They're swimming together in water. That's a healthy, those are individuals who have healthy relationships because they have a healthy identity. And then there's the body temple. The body temple is an instrument by which the spirit gets to express creativity, love, beauty, intelligence, all of these wonderful qualities to get to express through the body temple. So health, vitality, vigor, strength, flexibility, these are all very important because in your calling, you're going to want to be healthy. You want your body to be an asset to your calling. If you are a hypochondriac, if you're always getting sick, you're always catching a cold, you're always, not being able to make the meetings, you're not able to withstand the vigors of a human experience, the body temple can become not an asset, but a liability. So you take care of the body temple. Proper nutrition, proper exercise, proper hydration, proper water intake, proper rest. All of these things contribute to a healthy body temple so that the temple is an asset and not a liability.
Go ahead and give yourself a rating for your body temple. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And then there are two other structures, livelihood and finances. I separate them out. Your livelihood is where you begin to find a place where your creative juices get to be set free. You find a place that your career can even become a calling. Beyond the job, your livelihood is a place where creativity, zesty ideas are flowing, you love expressing, and that segues into the next structure, which is finances. Finances means that you ultimately have a belief. You begin to have an awareness that we live in a field of abundance, a field of plenitude, a field of prosperity, and you begin to demonstrate the coin of the realm as much as you need for the purpose that your soul has chosen for you to live. Everyone doesn't need to have the same amount of money, but everyone that needs to understand money as a form of energy exchange, a form of currency, a form of money as a promissory note that energy will continue to be circulated. So if I buy something, I know that energy is going to circulate. Whatever I buy, that person's going to circulate that energy and maybe send their kid to school. That teacher is going to circulate that energy and buy the groceries that they need. It's a constant state of circulation. So in the financial realm, you never spend money. If you spend money, it's gone. You learn circulation. So it's a practice that every time energy is circulating, you see yourself circulating money, and you just kind of imagine that circulation continues and that energy comes back at you. So it's a constant circulation. So livelihood is a wonderful place beyond job, career to calling, finances. You learn how to save, you learn how to invest, you learn how to support a world that you want to live in through tithing and sharing and giving, and you learn how to circulate.
What I love about these structures is that I began to see the structures where I had my lowest points. And there was one particular structure where recently I was at a level 1. I was feeling like a victim in that structure, me. But being able to identify that helped me shift my perspective in that. Now, please give yourself a rating for livelihood and for finance. Let's go on.
Mm-hmm. The next structure is belief. This is a very important structure because we're all run by the beliefs that we hold, and many of those beliefs are unconscious, yet they still hold sway over our life experience. So as we're growing and developing and unfolding spiritually, we become conscious of our beliefs, and then we choose to reframe our beliefs so that our beliefs become a place where we practice. So we end up practicing our beliefs. All of you know of people who say they believe X, Y, and Z, but when you look at their life, there's no evidence that they actually practice what they say we believe, what they say they believe. So in the structure of belief, you learn what your beliefs are, you tease the hidden beliefs into your awareness, then you choose a higher order of belief, and then you practice. Practice yields insight. Insight yields embodiment. Embodiment yields a way of living. Now here's the point. Ultimately, we transcend belief, because what we don't want is a lot of fervor believers in the world. Because a feverish believer that doesn't have any practice believes that, has a feeling that what they believe may not be so. So they have to proselytize, they have to call people infidels, they have to say this is the only way. But once you practice your belief and it becomes embodied, you don't have to convince anyone of anything, because the light and the luminosity within you shines so brightly, you're living it. And so belief becomes a deeper way of practicing.
Please give yourself a rating for belief. And now the final structure.
Final structure is community. Our body is a community, our friendships, our places of employment, the world, it's a community. And ultimately, for you to live your purpose, you have to know how to play in community. It's an extension of even the structure of relationship. You have entered into this planet, onto this planet, because you want the community of sentient beings to be better than it was before you arrived. So you want to see yourself as a community citizen, a global citizen ultimately. The boundaries of your mind and heart are not limited to the nation that you were born, or the neighborhood, or the color of your skin, your ethnicity, your gender. In community, when that structure is stabilized, you see yourself as a global citizen. You notice that every act that you do, it's affecting someone somewhere. It's affecting all beings on the planet. And so you begin to act locally, but you're thinking cosmically. You're thinking from a much larger community.
I love that. Please give yourself a rating for community. So now we've wrapped up the 8 life structures, and these ratings are important because they help give you guidance. They help shine a light on where you know you need to level up. So, Michael, as we wrap up, there's a really beautiful prayer meditation that you take us through, which I love, and we're going to do that in a moment. And after the prayer meditation, I mentioned visioning, the visioning process, which is what helped me, which is one of the new programs that we've developed with Michael. You'll hear about that program soon. Now let's get on with that prayer meditation as we close.
Absolutely. It is throwing me into the briar patch. I love to pray, and I love to lead people in meditation. I've been doing this over 40 years now, and it never, ever gets old. So I invite you to just stop where you are, to give yourself permission to be right where your body is, to be right here. To let go of where you're going to go later. Let go now where you have come from to be here. And to be right here where your breath is. It is impossible to breathe in the future, and it is impossible to breathe in the past. So this breath is anchoring us into present moment. Just be with that for a moment. The breath is in the present, which become a gateway, a vibrational gateway to the eternal now, which transcends time and space. It is here. I invite you to feel a deep sense of gratitude and thanksgiving and appreciation. Being grateful for the next breath you're about to take, to be grateful for your life, to be grateful that you exist at all. This dynamic gratitude is clearing our perceptual windows that we can begin to see that we're surrounded by a universal presence of love and beauty and intelligence and order and harmony and abundance. We're living, moving, and having our beingness in this presence. We're recognizing it everywhere now and feeling so unified with it that the very word that is being spoken in this instant is a law unto itself that only knows its own fulfillment. And I have the privilege of speaking this word, this vibrational law, for each and every individual listening to the sound of my voice. I know that where they are, the full presence is. That this dynamic presence of love and beauty and harmony and order and abundance is being activated by the very word that I'm speaking, for this word is a law of elimination to anything that would hinder, delay, obstruct, or deny the fullness of our life from expressing totally and completely right now. The field of inspiration is high. And from this moment on, everything is working together for our individual and collective good. We are spiritually connected to the presence that is never an absence. Our body temple is full to overflowing with tonic chemicals that are amplifying our immune system. Our relationship with ourself, oh, it's a loving one. Self-love and self-appreciation is amplified, and we feel at one with the abundance of the universe. And it's happening right now. This is the word that I'm speaking. The word cannot and will not return unto me void, but must return fulfilled thereof. It's happening now for each of us. The each of us that reveals and represents the one of us. I feel it in my soul, and I give thanks for it now and forever. And so it is. Amen.
Thank you. And you can open your eyes now. Beautifully said, Michael. I love it when you read these things.
Thank you.
So let's talk about life visioning. Michael and I are working on a project together, and it is a program here on Mindvalley Academy that over 6 weeks helps you move from level 2 to level 3 and onwards. It also is based on the 8 structures. So you can look back at your workbook and see how you rated yourself in those 8 structures. And if there are structures where you're 2 or below, this program is going to help you grow in those areas of your life. Now, the program is created by Mindvalley, and all the information is below this video. And please note that as a thank you for watching this video, this training, for investing this time, for being committed, we have further given you a special unlock price on this program. You will not see this price anywhere else on Mindvalley Academy. It's only on this page, so you do not want to close this page. So Michael, tell us about life visioning. Why is this program, why is learning this so important to people?
We're at the stage of our unfoldment as a species where we have to consciously participate in our own unfolding. It's not just going to just happen. It happens just according to how we practice. Each and every one of you, you want to be happy. You want to tap into your intrinsic happiness. You want to tap into your intrinsic intelligence and love and abundance. You really want that. So the life visioning process is a transformational process that allows you to continue to grow, develop, and unfold so that you have permanent set points around these sacred qualities. So it's not one and done. It's a constant unfolding in a powerful way for you to embody the love, the intelligence, the beauty, the happiness, the abundance, that not that you just deserve, but it's who you are, and you want to set it free.
In short, a lot of the personal growth models that people learn are level 2 models, stage 2 models, creative visualization, goal setting, and they serve a purpose.
Yes.
They set people along the path, but once you've been in the path longer, you realize that you want to tap in, and I can tell you it's so much more joyful when you are plugged in and you're not coming up with these goals based on just what you learned from your schooling or your education or culture, but you are gaining inspiration that puts you where you need to go. And that is the massive shift. That is the difference between waking up one day wondering what happened to your life to living a life where you're really contributing, where you're really fulfilled, where life almost seems magical. and it almost seems like the universe has your back.
Yeah, it does. The universe is friendly, but you get a chance to know it. You've articulated it so fantastically. You've been studying. Fantastically. And you know what? You want to set yourself free.
So raise your hand where you are if you think this is something that you'd want to study. And if you do, what I'm going to do is, Michael, I'd love for you to tell them what we're going to be taking them through week by week. So it's a 6-week program. It's not a lot of time commitment, about an hour or 2 a week. But you know, the insights that you get from this and what you learn, and there's applications as well, shape you for life. Remember what we spoke about earlier? We spoke about how Michael hit that crucial point in his life where his life could have gone in 2 directions. He could have been in jail for 30 or 40 years. But instead, his life went in a different direction and he became the world leader he is today. But it all started with a moment of awakening.
Yes.
This program is designed to give you these moments of awakening. So whatever part your life is on right now, this program, I guarantee you, is going to shift that to something beautiful. You cannot put a price on that. That is what happened to me.
Yes.
Let's hear about the 6 weeks.
It's priceless. First week, I'm going to help you identify where you are in your life structures. We're going to do processes so that you can evolve through these structures. So you'll actually be able to see exactly where you are. And as we talked about earlier, when you're able to see the structures and see where you are, it becomes easier to transcend. The second week, we're going to get into the victim consciousness, and we're going to ferret out your victim story. We're going to become aware of our own victim story, and we're going to shine light on it. Now, once you become aware of your own victim story, it starts to lose its power. Very important week. The third week, we're going to become aware of what it means to manifest. We're going to be aware of our manifestor story. We're going to learn processes, and we're going to, you know, as he was saying earlier, that stage 2 is an important stage. You want to master it. So we're going to learn where we need to master that particular stage. Week 4, we're going to do some energetic shape-shifting. You know what that means? The areas in your life that you've identified where you're vibrating lower, we're going to take the areas of your life where you're vibrating higher, and we're going to shift that energy into those lower vibrating areas and watch them expand. And then your ability to manifest will increase, and your ability to hear wisdom and guidance in those areas will also increase. It's a very, very good week.
This was a very, very, very cool tool. The shifting of that energy from an area where you're strong to an area where you're weak. That was really original teachings. I've never heard that anywhere else before, but it was just such a powerful, powerful, powerful idea. Because there were areas where I was weak, where I felt helpless.
Yes.
Because I was so stuck in what I was, in my problem. But when you showed me how I could take the strength from one of the areas where I was strong and put it in there, that freed me. So I loved this particular week.
Yeah. We're all vibrational beings. You're not your body. You have a body, Temple, but you are a frequency. You're a vibrational frequency of light. And so when you begin to shift your vibration in particular areas, you set massive amounts of energy free. Very important week. And then week 5, we're going to do some powerful meditative processes. I'm going to be teaching on the state of being, that being consciousness, and we're going to begin to touch upon that. You're going to begin to learn about it and touch upon it through the processes that I send you through. And then week 6, we're going to do the full-on life visioning process. I'm going to take you through creating the field for life visioning. I'm going to take you through the 7 stages of life visioning, and we're going to actually do that together. The testimonies that have come in from this particular class, from life visioning, phenomenal. I want you to be in that number.
Thank you so much, Michael. Now, one of the most amazing things about this program, guys, is really the results people have gotten. I'll share some of that in a moment, but first I want to share something with you. You may be wondering if this is for you, right? Maybe you're not sure if you're ready to emerge to stage 3. Well, why not give it a chance? You do not even have to make up your mind right now. You can purchase this program, enroll in the course, go through the course, and if you feel this isn't for you, you can shoot one email to support@mindvalley.com, and our award-winning customer support team ranked #1 in Asia by nicereply.com, one of the top 10 in the world overall, will provide you a full refund, no questions asked. So you can really try this out. You do not have to make up your mind right now. We just really believe in this program. We are able to make an offer like that. Now, let's talk about some of the crazy results people have had with this program, where their lives have truly shifted. So Evelyn had just experienced a breakup. After applying the teachings from Michael Beckwith, within a month later, she let us know that she and her former partner had an open-hearted discussion where they expressed gratitude for their time together and they experienced a conscious uncoupling. So it could really help you in these difficult traumatic situations such as relationships. This is a different student scenario from Reginald. He was an assisted living caregiver and was upset that his client wasn't following his suggestions, which he considered to be conscious and holistic healing modalities. Following these lessons, he turned the searchlight onto himself and recognized his tendency to want to control the process by determining how others ought to be and how they ought to achieve their goals. He became so inspired, he began infusing even the most ordinary task of caretaking with the spiritual energy of loving kindness and changed his practice. Now, one of the things about this program is, in many cases, it helps accelerate your body's natural healing as clarity is gained. Helen was requesting counseling sessions with Michael, during which she requested prayer for healing her kidney disease, alongside with being repositioned higher up on the list for a kidney transplant. Following the sessions, Helen a few months later tearfully informed us that her kidneys spontaneously began normal functioning and a transplant was not even required anymore. And this is another amazing student case study. Shiva got a deep bloody gash on her knee while saving her dog from another aggressive dog. She used techniques from Michael, and she said, by the time I reached my front door, approximately 20 minutes from where the scene of the dog encounter occurred, my knee had stopped bleeding, the throbbing was greatly reduced, and the limp barely noticeable. The rest I was able to handle with a good-sized bandage and no further medical treatment. So you can apply these techniques on the go in difficult human scenarios. So weren't those stories beautiful? Now all the information is laid out for you below this video, so you can scroll, you can read about the program. Remember, you get a special unlock price. You can enroll immediately and get full access immediately. And while you're reading that, we're going to ask Michael some frequently asked questions that I know many of you are wondering. The first is, how fast do you see results?
The results are immediate. You see the effects over a period of time. The body temple, you see very rapidly. Other areas, you see the results a little bit slower, but you start to feel the results even before the physical manifestation.
And the next question is, how's the program structured? We mentioned 6 weeks. Why and what does that look like?
The program is structured for 6 weeks and has a purpose behind that. It means you have time to integrate and embody the teachings, to actually be with me for the hour and then do some practice, some homework that you'll love during the course of the week. You don't want to look at this like a Netflix where you just watch all the episodes in one day. This is about embodiment. This is about integration. This is about the expansion of your awareness. So you want to savor it. Watch the program, do the homework, and you can actually begin to see rapidly things beginning to change in your life.
And what's the time commitment for that week?
The time commitment is the hour with me, and then you're going to probably do a minimum of 20 minutes up to about an hour of self-study.
Okay, so it's very, very, very easy. It's very applicable, but think about how powerful this work is. At Mindvalley, we take pride in bringing you the education that school forgot to give you. Because when we ask our customers, what are you most frustrated in the world right now? One of the biggest things our customers say is this: education failed me. Nobody taught me how to evolve, how to be fulfilled, how to live my purpose. You don't teach that in school. This is what happens in this program. And so, look, even if this was for 5 hours a day for 6 weeks, I would still say this was worth it. But don't worry, it's actually very, very, very easily digestible. Now, the second is it hard to do?
No, it's simple processes, simple reading, but we want your commitment. If you make the commitment to actually do the practices, you'll see the results in your life. You see the results in your thinking. You see the results in your mood. You see the results in your relationships. So it's not hard. There's nothing. If it's hard, it's not from the presence, because this is simple, but you do have to do something.
Beautifully said, Michael. One of our top programs on Mindvalley Academy in terms of how customers report their lives have just majestically shifted. And I encourage you to enroll in the program, check it out. You'll be learning directly with Michael Beckwith. Literally, he is there talking to you on the screen. You see his face. We recorded this. It's like you're having a Skype call with him, and it is just mind-blowing. So thank you all for tuning in, and thank you, Michael.
Thank you. And the program was so transformational for me, just teaching it. I had a rebirth and I cut off my hair right after we filmed it.
That's why you'll notice Michael looks different in the program. I'm still upset that you cut off those beautiful dreadlocks. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you for joining us.
Information's below. Click enroll, and we'll see you in live visioning.